because time is ticking for me. I'm 60 years old.
Yes, dear.
I'm 60 years old. And I've had a lifetime of this struggle, of struggles for issues, of struggles for change. And I think we can do it. And I think that's what our focus has to be. Our primary focus, our daily focus, our discussion at every level.
All right.
I think that's fine. Here's the thing. I've always felt that the 9/11 Truth Movement had the historical mission, under the conditions that we actually see, to be the catalyst for the convergence, the merger, the fusion of these different groups. I think the 9/11 Truth has the advantage of offering what I can only describe as a superior moral and intellectual outlook on the world. Because in order to get in here, you've got to somehow accept the idea of professing doctrines which are pariah doctrines, which are out of the mainstream, which are persecuted, heretical doctrines. And I think if we have the consciousness of an overview of this thing, we can see that these movements, peace and impeachment and the rest of them we've described, that it's a palette of about 25 different ones.
Right.
To the extent that they remain single-issue movements, they're doomed, they're impotent.
Okay.
And I would certainly agree, to the extent, and I meant to stress this before, to the extent that they're tied to the Republican or the Democratic Party, this is impossible. In other words, they make no progress. And to the extent that anybody operates without 9/11 truth, you cannot fight a regime which is based on 9/11. Bush does not make a distinction between Iraq and 9/11. He talks about 9/11 in every speech. 9/11 is the constant litany. It's the Pater Noster. It's the Our Father who art in heaven, right? The rosary of Bush is 9/11, Al-Qaeda, Bin Laden, right? We should make a Bush rosary for this. So therefore, I think this is what we can do. Now, I can tell you very concretely what you can do. And I miss the concreteness. In other words, I hear a lot of, what's wrong, but I don't hear what should people do.
I can give you something concrete. In New York, for instance, in terms of 9/11, there is an important drive to have a petition, resolution for a new 9/11, an independent 9/11 investigation. What I am saying is we can have investigations, and it's very, very important. But at the same time, it is important to have the discussion for building a political instrument of our own. It's something we've had over and over again, and it's something that gets skirted time and time again. You can't have one without a goal of creating another, because otherwise, come 2008, believe me, people are either not going to vote, or you're asking them to vote for a Democrat, or you're asking them to vote for an isolated individual who is going to be frustrated once they get into office and can't deliver anything for people.
I think if we can get them into office, we're going to be in fine shape. I would agree with that. That initiative is fine. What I told those guys in New York to do is, if you're going to be out there gathering signatures, get your signatures, get some petitions out there for congressional candidates, and get these other guys on the ballot. Because frankly, in this country, the notion of running for office is a critical part of politics. Not the whole thing, but it's an indispensable part. If you have 1 hour tomorrow, you want to do something, today, tomorrow, you have O'Reilly, you have Hannity, you have these fascist parrots of the afternoon. Call them up. Get in there, blow their lid off, make them blow their stack on 9/11 truth, the new 9/11, the Cheney doctrine. If you have 6 hours, and this is something you can only do this year, get yourself a truth squad. Get 2 people, a question, a follow-up, and a camera, and go and confront Giuliani. You could stand right out here. Mrs. Clinton is going to come by. Others are going to come by. Ask them the embarrassing questions that they don't want to be asked. That is, by the way, that is the tactic par excellence of this year, right? We Are Change, the people up in New York have been using this to tremendous effect. I believe Sabrina Rivera has essentially mortally wounded the candidacy of Giuliani by getting him one day in the Bronx to deny his own 9/11 story, which is the basis of his campaign. So he's basically reneged on his own campaign story. I hope that the Truth Squad activity will reach a crescendo now in September, October, November, December, January. But then I have to tell you it becomes much more difficult. Because in the beginning of February, it's going to be Giuliano-Lini and Mrs. Clinton, most likely. And what do you do then? Well, my idea is, I see Bob Bowman.
He just left.
Oh, he just left. Well, I was just about to get to the point where I make my pitch that he should be a 9/11 presidential candidate, and that I profoundly believe. And I urge you to urge him, if it's at all possible for him, given various considerations that come into anybody's life. But if he has the will and the energy and so forth, to consider a presidential candidacy. Notice that he got 44% of the votes in the 15th of Florida with what amounts to a New Deal economic program, a living wage, a Marshall Plan for the Third World, a single-payer national health care program. In other words, very strong elements that have nothing to do with this Herbert Hoover stuff that we're getting from the libertarians, right? This, that you're on your own. So it seems to me that those are very important things. Now, therefore, out of the candidates' movement in many areas, I think a presidential candidacy of that type might occur. So if you have 750 hours over the next 18 months, you should run for office. There is no better way to exert pressure on the Democratic or Republican or Green or Libertarian, whatever you got, whatever party there is. If there's a Bloomberg-Hagel, you can try them too. The peculiarity is that the way most states are, because of this two-party system, which of course is rotten, you can't get near the ballot except by taking the Republican or Democratic nomination. And there he is. Sorry.
So guys, want to go to the next base stage of this?
Can we ask questions?
No.
Please.
Oh, no.
No, really.
Can we ask questions in there?
No, wait.
We're used to that. Hold on, wait. What I wanted to do now, what happens when we ask questions is three people ask questions.
Yeah, but we like that.
Hold on. All the other people are just sitting there. What I'm interested in recommending is you paired up with somebody before. Go with your pair. If they are, gather with other people. A few of you, 3 or 4 of you at a time. Respond. Talk amongst yourselves about what you just heard, where you're at. That's what I think is important.
We want to ask questions.
No, wait a minute, hold on. When you talked amongst yourselves, hold on, for a few minutes, then you can stand up and, as a representative of your group, and ask a question. That's what that's based on.
Okay?